with our meats and our garlic and so forth. That's going to take the longest. So right here, I have some garlic. I'm going to go ahead and chop that up. Right now, just watch your fingers, but we're going to cut that garlic up. And by the time we get done the garlic, our pan should be warm. And then we'll cut the onions up. Okay, here we go. So I've got my garlic chopped. That's ready. Now let's dice up our onion. And then I already have here, as you can see, the carrots and the celery chopped. Okay. I'm gonna cut my onion up. Get rid of our scraps. I like to cut it in half. Then to me, it makes it easier to cut. Okay. Get rid of that outer dry skin there. Okay. So then I'm just going to make some slices like this. And then I'm going to dice it up. Just like that. Okay. All right, so I have my onion slice. We've got our garlic. We've got the celery. We got the carrots. We got our meats. We're just about ready to go on this side. Later on, we'll get into this onion. All right, so let's put a little oil in the pan. So we can get that warming up. All right, so I'm gonna move my oil around. It helps if you have a non-stick pan, but not mandatory. Okay, I'm gonna put my garlic in there. Okay, so we got our garlic in the pan. We're gonna let that saute a little bit so we let some of those garlic flavors come out. Okay, I'm gonna add my onions in here. We're gonna saute that. Move that around just a little bit. Okay. I'm gonna turn my heat up, make sure I'm at a medium. There we go. So we're gonna let our onions and garlic saute for the moment. Once our water comes to a boil, and mine came to a boil kind of quickly, we wanna put the pasta noodles in. So we'll just get the pasta noodles cooked. We'll get them done. We'll be able to get them drained and everything. So once your pot has come to a boil, we're just gonna break them in half. Drop them in there. If your pot's big enough, you don't have to break them. Okay. There we go. And we'll break this last set. Ooh, I might need to hit the gym. There we go. All right. So we got our pasta going in the pot. I got my onions going here. with the garlic. We're gonna let those saute. If you see any big spots, just try to break them up a little bit so they can all get some love in the pan. Okay. So pasta's going, onions and garlic sauteing. Once these saute, then we're gonna add our meats in here, because our sausage and the ground pork and the ground beef are going to take on the flavor that you're going to find here in the onions and garlic. Right now, if you'd like to, you can season with a little bit of salt and pepper. Just got to make sure our onions and garlic are flavorful. Okay. And then we'll season a little more as we put the meat in. Okay. All right, that it's looking good. Pasta's looking good. So let's talk about focaccia for a second. I'm gonna come over here. All right, let's get a couple things prepared for our focaccia. We'll move a couple things around so you can see better. So here we got one of my favorite ingredients. We got rosemary. Now, does anybody have any questions so far? All right, I guess that means we're doing a great job. Just remember, if you do have some questions, feel free. Go ahead, unmute yourself. You can ask your questions. You can throw questions in the chat, and we'll make sure you get your answers. All right, so we got one of my favorite herbs here. This is rosemary. Rosemary is one of my favorites because it's very flavorful. It packs a lot of punch. For things like bread, it's awesome. So check it out. I'm gonna just peel these back right off the stem here. Now I have a lot of rosemary on my board. I don't think I'll need quite this much because it does pack a punch. So I'm just peeling it here off the little stem. Kind of reminds you, or it smells like a pine cone. Okay. So I got my rosemary here, right? I'm gonna flip it onto the board, and I'm just gonna cut it a little bit. Just a little bit. Doesn't have to be like cut fine. I'm just gonna break it up just a little bit. See, just like that. So it's not finely minced, but it's chopped down just a little bit. So when you hit a piece of rosemary, it's not like your taste buds go into overload. But we're gonna end up sprinkling this on the focaccia. All right. So that's my rosemary right here. Next thing I have is the red onion. Make sure we're watching our stoves, guys. Just move your onions and garlic around a little bit if you need to. Okay. All right. All right. So I'm just stirring these around. And after we get our meat and our veggies cooked off, we're gonna add the pasta sauce. Okay. So we're gonna stir that around.
What did you just add to the frying pan?
I was just about to tell you. Thank you so much for asking me. I just added to my pan the carrots, and the celery. Because the carrots are so hearty, I like to let them saute just a little bit and just soften up just a little bit. All right. So I'm sauteing my onions, my carrots, my celery, my garlic. You know, I've seasoned it with a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm gonna give it just a pinch more right now since I added in the carrots and celery. Okay, we're gonna let that saute a second, and then I'm gonna come behind it with the meat. I'm gonna check my noodles because my pot came to a boil pretty quickly. So if your pot's not quite to a boil yet, it's okay. We got time. All right.
Can we get a closer look of the pans?
Can you get a closer look at the pan? Absolutely.
What's inside?
So this is what I have going on right now in my pan.
Okay.
You can see I got the carrots, the onions, the celery. They're sweating nicely. Looking real pretty. Okay. So that's what's going in my pan. I'm on a medium heat because I don't need to rush it. All right. So I've slid back over here and I'm dealing with my onion now for my focaccia. My onion's humongous. I couldn't find any smaller red onions in the store. It's like my onion's on steroids right now. So I'm only going to use like half of this. Okay, you won't need this much. This is a lot of onion. All right, so I'm just going to cut it in half. I'm going to get the skin off, and then I'm just going to do some thin slices. Like I keep looking at how big this onion is. My guess is I'm probably going to use like a third of it. Mine's just huge. I don't know where they're growing them like this, but I've never seen them that big until this weekend. Okay. So my sauteed veggies are looking great. So this onion, I'm gonna very thinly slice it. I like onion. I just don't like it to be overwhelming. So I'm gonna do very thin slices like you see here. Okay. And remember, like I said, I'm probably gonna use about a third of this onion. So you're gonna see me stop right about there. But I have these beautiful slices here. And then when I break it up, it'll do just like that. All right. So I'm gonna set this to the side. And let's talk about our dough. Okay, so here's my dough. I've got my rosemary. We got a little basil. We got my onions. We got my tomatoes. I'm just glancing over here at my veggies. My veggies are looking lovely. Look at that. Okay. And I'm checking out my pasta. We want to make sure the pasta's done, but not overdone. Nobody likes a wet, soggy noodle, right? So we want to do it what we say al dente, which is done, but not like super soft and mushy. So my pasta's just about there. I see a strand or two that might have stuck together, but it's looking pretty good. So I'm gonna give it about another minute and then I'm gonna go ahead and strain my pasta. All right. On my veggies here, I think it's time to add some of the beef. So let's add some beef to our veggies. Okay. I just put on a glove because I didn't want to get my hands messy. All right. I'm just throwing in some ground beef. Okay. Now, if you don't want beef, you could always use like ground turkey. You could use turkey sausage. You could do ground chicken. Okay. So we've got our beef in there. I'm gonna add some ground sausage. So if you couldn't find ground sausage in the store, you could use the Italian sausage. Just take the casing off. All right, I'm just breaking it up here. And then we're going to use the ground pork next. Okay. All right, let's add some ground pork in there. Okay. Uh-oh. Daddy's making a mess. All right. So I'm going to stir this up so I can get my meats to get to the bottom. Just like that. I'm folding it over. Now, this is honestly where you can choose those favorite meats. Like if you're into hot sausage, now would be a good place to use it. Add a really nice flavor to your spaghetti as well. A little spice if you like that. A little heat. Okay. But since this is for my little ones, I didn't go hot and spicy today. Okay. So I got my meat in there with my veggies. We're going to let that cook and saute on medium heat. All right. I got my spaghetti right here. Let's grab this bowl. We're going to go ahead and strain that. Okay. All right. So anybody have any questions yet? And if you do, like I said, please feel free to unmute and ask your questions. But that's our spaghetti. That's what it looks like. I'm just sitting here using the colander. We're straining it. I'm moving it around so I can let that excess water get off of it. And then I'm going to shock it. So by shocking it, what we mean is we just want to run some cold water on there. Okay. I'm just going to let the cold water here run on my pasta just like this. Cool it down. Because if you don't cool it down, it just keeps cooking in the strainer. I'm just running some cold water on here. As you can see, I'm turning my hand like this, letting that cold water get through there until I can reach in here and touch the pasta. Once I can touch the pasta, I'm typically good to go. Okay. So we got our pasta right here. Cooled down in your colander so you can let the rest of the water come out. On the stove, we got our pasta going. And now right here, we're going to work this focaccia. So we got our pizza dough, right? And I'm going to just pull it out the bowl. Put it right on the counter. You're going to need a little bit of oil to roll this out. Now, I have these pans today. My pan's probably what you consider a half pan, right? Because your pan's this size. All right. So I'm going to use my half pan today. So I'm going to use about half my dough. Okay. All right. So I got my dough here. You feel it. You see it's sticky, right? It's kind of hanging to your hand. We're going to need some oil. So first bit of oil we're gonna need a little oil on the pan, right? For focaccia. Uh-oh. I'm just gonna move that around a little bit and let that spread around. This is just gonna help it to keep from sticking. Next thing that we're gonna need, I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, this is where it gets like slightly messy. Because in most cases, you would not be pouring oil on your counter surface. So I apologize. But today, we're gonna put a little oil down. And this just keeps it from sticking. See, as soon as I touch it, it wants to move. And then we flip it over. Now the dough won't stick to your hands. Okay. Rolling pin. We're just gonna roll it out a bit. Might have to hold it, depending on how much oil you put down. Okay. And I'm turning it. We're just gonna roll it a bit. Roll it. Turn it. Basically, we're just stretching it out. And again, I'm just making a little focaccia that's gonna fit my little pan. If you got the bigger pan, go for it. Go for it. Fill that whole pan up. But I'm just stretching mine out a bit. See right here? So it's just gonna fit in this pan. And then you can take your hands and kind of manipulate it a little bit. It's gonna snatch back a bit because these breads have gluten in it. Gluten is developed when you mix flour and water, and it actually is what causes the strength in a baked item. So let's say you're making cake. Cake's tender, right? So cake has less gluten in it than your pizza dough, if that makes any sense. I know you're like, wait a minute, the texture isn't even the same. I know. So it's partly because of the amount of water, partly because of the gluten. So we got our dough laid out here, right? Now it's time to have some fun with the focaccia. We can make it how we want to make it. All right, so check it out. I'm gonna put some tomatoes on it. If you don't like tomatoes, just don't put the tomatoes on. But we're gonna put some tomatoes on our focaccia. By the time it's done, they should break down some, give you a nice roasted feel to it. Okay, so we got some tomatoes on there. I'm gonna take some of let's do my rosemary. Let's sprinkle some rosemary on there. And then we're gonna go in the oven once we get these onions on there. And one other thing that's signature of focaccia would be the salt. A lot of times, depending on where you go, sometimes the focaccia could be what some people might consider to be a little salty, but I like it. So you control your salt today. Mom and Dad, if you're with the little ones, you help them with the salt, please, so that you're at an acceptable level. But I'm just going to drop some onions on here, just like that. And then I'm going to drizzle it with some olive oil and some salt, and we're going in the oven with it. Okay. All right. So we got our onions. We got the tomatoes. We got the rosemary. If you want to add a little basil, we could do that too. Okay. Sit that right there. Let's add a little basil. I'm a basil guy. So I'm going to take a few pieces of basil. Basil also tastes beautiful in your spaghetti bolognese today. I'm going to take a little bit of chopped basil. Okay. And I'm going to sprinkle that on mine. Just like this. So we got some basil, rosemary, onions. Okay. Let's get some olive oil here. As my one chef would say, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. Okay, so I got my olive oil. I'm just drizzling across the top. And then we're going to hit it with a little salt. So I'm going to get a little pinch of salt from right here. We're going to hit it just like that. And then we're going to the oven, y'all.
Did you add pepper?
Can you say that one more time for me?
Do we need to add pepper?
You could add pepper. Absolutely. You want pepper? Let's add some pepper. There you go. Boom. A little pepper on there, a little fresh cracked black. And this is our focaccia. All right, so we're getting ready to go to the oven with it. We'll probably go in there about 15, 20 minutes. We want these tomatoes to kind of break down a little bit. All right, so let's go to the oven. All right, so let's take a quick second, 30 seconds, clean up. Make sure you get your focaccia into the oven. And then we'll start working on this bolognese. All right. So all the young chefs out there, let's hear who's on here today. Unmute. Let's hear your names.
What's your name? My name is Michaela.
My name's
Hi,
Aria.
Michaela.
My name's Aria.
Hi, Aria.
My name's Ariel.
My name's Leah.
Go ahead.
My name's Kat. My name's Layla.
Hi, Layla. How are you guys?
My name's Kelsey. My name's Sarah.
Hi, Brownie. Now, today we are filming from the Teen Warehouse. We want to say a special thank you to the Teen Warehouse for allowing us to come in and use their beautiful demo kitchen. We couldn't do this for our little chefs without them. So we want to say thank you. Okay. Now, if you've never seen the Teen Warehouse, all I can say, if you got a young adult, a teenager, it's amazing. I mean,
Do you have to drain your beef?
Oh, you had a question? Say that again.
Do you have to drain your beef?
Do you have to drain your beef? I'm going to leave that up to your judgment call. And what I mean by that is I'm looking at my pan right now and the way it's cooking. I don't have a lot of fat in there. However, and I believe this is because I use that 80% lean beef that I put in the recipe. However, if you feel like your pan is oily, then you can drain some of that off so that your sauce isn't very oily. That's a great question. Okay. But like I was saying before, the Teen Warehouse is a great place for young adults. They have everything in here, from a movie theater, basketball courts, dance studio, meeting rooms. Obviously, we have a kitchen, but they also have another kitchen, a big kitchen. So it's pretty cool. And there's actually a school on top of the building. So once this pandemic is over, you've got to check out this place. It's literally built for teens and designed by teens, which is very unique. They really took into account what do these young adults want, and they wanted a space where they could feel safe, where they could have fun, where they could work out. I forgot to mention they do have their own gym in here as well, where they could learn the arts like dance and so forth. They could connect to the internet. They could do their homework. It's a really cool space. All right. So here is my veggies and meat. I think they're just about done. And I think it's time to add some sauce. Okay. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to grab my jar of pasta sauce. This is one of those things where you grab your favorite. Today I'm using, let's see, Barilla fire roasted marinara. I'm being a little fancy. However, there's all sorts of ones out there. Ragu, Prego. You get your favorite. And we're going to pour this sauce on here. Okay. So I've got my sauce. We want to stir this around so we can make a nice marriage of the meats and the sauce. We want to bring it to a simmer. So I haven't turned down the heat at all. Okay. Now, does anybody have any questions so far? Everybody have their focaccia in the oven. We get some thumbs up. Okay. All right, so we're gonna bring this right here to a simmer. I'm gonna peek at my focaccia to see how we're doing. Oh, it's growing. Okay, that's looking good. That's looking good. Oh, that smells good too. I don't know if y'all could smell it, but if you go to the oven and just check it, you're gonna get that. Okay. So I'm just stirring my mixture. I want to make sure I'm not letting anything burn on the bottom of the pan. So every once in a while, I just give it a little movement like this. I spread it back out. I want to make sure we're heating nice and even. I'm getting the full surface of the pan to warm it. And you'll probably see it bubble in some spots. Once it does, just turn it. Okay, just like I'm doing. Turn that hot spot, fold it right back in on itself. And then we spread it out again. So you can see it's warming up pretty quick. Now, one of the things, and I'll tell you one of my secrets. If you want to make a bolognese that, how should I say this, will just blow your mind, I say it takes like 3 hours. Now, who wants to watch that pot for 3 hours, right? But the reality is, as you cook it, you can cook it low, cook it slow, but as it starts to, how should I say this, the liquid starts to come down, you add a little pinch of water and you rehydrate it. You reduce it again. And then once it's reduced again, you rehydrate it. You reduce it again. So after you've done it about 4 or 5 times, what you're really doing is you've increased the natural sugars in the tomato. And when I tell you, it's ridiculous. You'll love it. But again, this isn't the 3-4 hour bolognese today, but I'm just showing you a Dana trick or teaching you a Dana trick where if you have the time, you reduce it 3 or 4 times, add that little bit of water, rehydrate, and reduce it again. And the more times you do it, the deeper the flavor. Okay. All right. So this is what mine looks like. I'm going to get some pasta. Okay. So you guys can take a look.
Chef Dana, when did you use the cheese?
Oh, thank you.
Oh, okay.
I almost forgot my queso. Okay. So I'm going to crumble up my cheese. Thank you so much. And I'm going to put mine in. I'm going to save some to garnish the top, though, because I like the cheese on the top, too. Okay. Let's stir that in.
Did we miss the step for the basil?
That's what I have also over here.
Oh, okay, so we haven't used it yet.
Nope, that's
Okay,
going in
thank you.
next.
Thank
The
you.
thing with the basil, oh, you're welcome, dear. The thing with the basil is, especially with it being fresh, it's going to go in right at the end. Those fresh herbs, they bloom like really, really quickly. If you were using a dry herb, you could add it early, and the moisture from the sauce, the heat, activates it and lets the flavor come out. If you're using fresh, then you do it right at the end because you'll get the most punch. Okay, so I'm stirring it up here. Make sure my Parmesan is mixed throughout. And then we're gonna grab some of that basil in just a second. Ooh, that's smelling good. Okay, look at that. All right, so let me grab this basil. So I got my basil here, and I'm gonna chop it up. You guys wanna learn how to do chiffonades? Let me show you. Watch this. I'm gonna move these onions off here. I'm gonna teach you guys a trick today, real quick. We all chefs, right? Big and small. All right, so check it out. I got my basil leaves, right? I'm gonna stack them on top of each other. Watch. Your parents are gonna be like, how'd you learn how to do that? Watch this. This is what we're doing in the restaurants, guys. Behind the scenes. And it only works with the bigger leaves, so don't sweat the little leaves. We'll just throw them in the pot in a second. This only works with the big leaves, but it's cool looking. Okay. Got a couple more big leaves here. I'm just laying on top of each other, right? So here we go. Got my big leaves, right? Little Chef's big leaves. Here we go, right? We're gonna roll them up just like this. Just moving my sauce around. Okay, so see here, we got the leaves and they're rolled up just like this. We're gonna hold them rolled up, thin slices. Mom and dad help them out if they need it. All right. So when you got these, check it out. Now you get all these cool little basil strands. We're just gonna drop them right in the pot. Just like that. This is what we call chiffonade in our culinary world. So we get all these pretty little basil strands. There we go. And these little leaves here, you can just toss them right in. All right. So now we got this yummy, cheesy, basil-y. Is that a word, basil-y? I don't know. It'll be today. 3-meat, tomato, garlic, deliciousness going on in the pan. Okay. So check that out. Okay. That looks amazing. Can y'all see that right there? That looks incredible. Okay. So I'm gonna move this out the way so we can hook up some spaghetti. Okay. Remember I said I like to save a little bit of my cheese for garnish, right? So I got my cheese here, I got my bowl here. I'm gonna grab that pasta. Now this could be where it's up to you. And I'm just gonna stretch my noodles out here so they're not sticking all together. Another trick, guys, for my little chefs, if you needed to, when your pasta was coming out of the water and you strained it, you could hit it with a little bit of olive oil. And that just keeps it from sticking also. All right. So we're gonna put some of our pasta right in the bowl. I'm a family style guy. So a lot of times you'll see me with family style bowls. And you can just put your sauce right on top. If you wanted to get crazy with the flavor, and I'll show you that in a second too. I'm gonna show you two ways. So here's one way. Now I will advise you the other way is not as pretty, but the flavor is gonna be there. So I'm gonna take some of my mixture here, right? I'm gonna put it right there. Man, that looks good. I don't even know if I want to share. Okay, check that out. That is our 3-meat spaghetti bolognese. Hit it with a little Parmesan to finish, and that's a home run. But I promised you I was going to show you two ways, right? So check this out. If you want to, and you got some noodles left over, and you want to get even more flavor into there, throw the noodles in the pan, right? Let them saute a bit in there. Now, again, this doesn't look as pretty, but she will be tasty. So by putting the noodles in the sauce, remember, the pores on the pasta noodles, once they're warm, they open up and they suck everything like a sponge. All right, here we go. And I know you guys see it at home a lot of times. Mom's just got the sauce mixed in with the noodles. Mom's a genius. She's a genius. Because when she does that in the pan, the sauce literally gets inside the noodle. So now, if you guys got your spaghetti done, hold them up to the camera so we can see it. Anybody got theirs done yet? We got some done? Yay. All right. So here's the other one. And again, might not be as fancy pretty, but she's flavorful. So we got the bolognese in the bowl, just like that. We can hit it with a little Parmesan, but I guarantee the flavor's in there. Why? Because we sauteed the noodles in the sauce. So these are just two ways you could do it. You could do it separate, or you could do it like this. Okay. All right, so let's check out this focaccia real quick. I'll move this here. And let me get a new towel. So here's a tip, guys. Check this out. If you ever have to get something from the oven, never, 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 never use a wet towel, which is why you saw me turn around and grab a new towel. If you tried to grab it with a wet towel, that's how you get steam burns, because it heats up so quickly, it will burn your hands. So for all you little chefs out there, always have a dry towel or an oven mitt. And if you're young, make sure you're doing it in the supervision of mom and dad. All right. Check out that focaccia. Oh, it's looking good. I'm checking just to make sure she's done. I think mine needs maybe 2-3 minutes. I feel that one little spot right there. Right here feels really good. All around the edges are really done. I'm gonna pick up and peek. Yep, my bottom's looking just about done. But it's this one little spot right here. I'm gonna put it in for another 2-3 minutes. Now, if you want, let me teach you this other trick. If you want to really blister, that's a word we use in the kitchen, blister your tomatoes, you could turn it up to broil. However, if you go to broil, you gotta make sure to watch it. Because on broil is such a high heat method that you wanna make sure that you're watching it because it's gonna cook really fast. Watch this. Okay, so we got broil. Oh, I need the lower oven. Here we go. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna take my heat up just a little bit. And in about 2 to 3 minutes, watch. It's gonna look great. So has everybody got their spaghetti bolognese ready to go? Thumbs up. I know some people showed their pictures or showed their dish. Yes. All right. Everybody on the other side of the camera is telling me yes. We're looking good. Everybody's got their focaccia in the oven? Anybody's focaccia come out yet? Who's eating right now? Is somebody eating?
So how do we know when to take out the focaccia?
So how do you know when to take out the focaccia?
Yeah, ours doesn't look like it was rising that much, but it's golden brown on the edges.
Uh-huh. So if your focaccia is golden brown on the edges, it might be just about ready to come out.
Okay.
Aria, is your focaccia done?
Were we supposed to put salt on the focaccia?
Were you supposed to put salt on the focaccia? The answer is yes. Focaccia is normally a type of bread where they season it with, let's say we didn't do tomatoes and onions. Typically, you would find that rosemary, you'd find the olive oil, you'd find some salt, and then it kind of builds from there.
Let's give it 3 more minutes, okay, Kelsey?
3 minutes.
Okay. I'm gonna get ready to check mine in a second. Almost.
If we were going to do the broil method that you talked about, broil on high or broil low?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sorry. You said if we were going to do the broil method, say that one more time for me.
Do we broil on high or do we broil on low?
Normally you broil on high.
Okay.
So let me ask you this. You have a broiler that has 2 settings?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Typically, I always do the high.
Okay.
Just remember, if you do the high, you got to watch it.
Right.
It's going to move fast.
Okay.
I don't think the focaccia is bad.
So who else has their focaccia out the oven?
Give me a little Ziploc over there.
Not that kind of bad.
All right, I'm going to check mine now. Okay, there we go. So my tomatoes are nice and blistered. Not burnt though. You can see how I have this color around the edge. which is signaling to me that my focaccia
This looks
is
like
done.
ours or yours.
I can't really get it.
Maybe we
Let
should.
me let you guys get a good peek at mine. So you can see how my tomatoes are blistered right here.
Oh yeah.
Could you take it a step further? Maybe a little bit, but then I'd be worried about my basil burning up on me. That would be my only precaution. I see my onions here have wilted, tomatoes blistered. The edges on my right here are like golden. It's not like too dark. I think I'm right where I need to be. All right. And again, to finish, if you want to add a little pinch, what do you say? Ariel's looking good too. I added a little pinch of salt and a little pinch of pepper. Okay, let's take a peek at this. I'm gonna cut a piece right here on this corner. Ooh, it's hot. There we go. Just checking inside. Yep, mine is done. Okay. Now for the moment of truth. I'm a salt dude on the focaccia, so which is why you always see me grabbing a pinch. Okay, here we go. Ooh, it's warm. Gotta blow on it. Uh-oh. Oh, look, Big Iv is here. If you guys don't know, this is Ivan Thomas, AKA the talk of the town, Mr. DETV.
This looks amazing, Dana.
Thank you. All right.
Are you ready?
You ready?
I'm gonna tell you, because I'm being biased about it.
You gonna be unbiased about it?
Yo, it's really good.
Okay.
Yo, it's really good. Oh man, it's
Okay.
good.
Got a little bit. Look, I'm mumbling. You get that little bit of salt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A little rosemary in there.
Yeah, the rosemary, the salt, and the olive oil.
And the olive oil.
Makes it good. Makes it good.
Oh yeah.
Makes a real good combination.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Back to work. I'm going back.
He's going back to the other side of the camera. So, that is tasty. Okay. So, I could eat that whole thing. Wow. Okay. So, and it's so easy to make. That's the beautiful thing about focaccia. Parents, you can keep dough in the freezer, pull it out the day prior, and be like, "Hey, Susie, can you make mommy that focaccia?" And she could do it. I'm telling you. So, if you had trouble finding the dough, a lot of times you could find it right in like the grocery stores. Like I know ShopRite carries it. You'll probably find it near the bakery section in 1 pound dough balls. So you could find it there. If you can't find it in your grocery store, you could go to a pizza shop and say, "Hey, could I have a fresh dough ball?" And a lot of them will sell you a fresh piece of dough. And in which case you can either choose to keep a whole one, cut it in half like I did today if you want to keep smaller pieces. And they could literally make you focaccia really quickly. The kids could. Yep. So here's our focaccia. And here is our spaghetti bolognese for you guys.
What section did you say ShopRite sells it in?
So anybody have any questions for us? Everybody make it to the end with your
Chef
focaccia.
David, where did you
your
say that?
spaghetti. Everybody did a great job.
Chef Dana, where did you say that you could find the dough at ShopRite? What section?
All right, I'm gonna assume that's a yes because I hear silence, which probably means that people are eating. But we want to thank you guys for tuning in to us today, hanging out with us on Little Chefs. We'll be back in 2 weeks where we'll have another fabulous menu for you guys. 2 weeks from now, that would be the, let's see, 9 plus 7 is 16, 23rd. I did go to school. 23rd, August 23rd will be our next Little Chefs at 3 p.m. Again, we thank you guys for hanging tough with us today through the storm. And we started a couple minutes behind once we got the routers redone, but we appreciate you.
Dawn said, what section can you find the dough at ShopRite?
Oh, Dawn said, what section can you find the dough at ShopRite? So Dawn, if you go to the bakery section at ShopRite, and I haven't checked all the ShopRites, I know the one by me. It's right in the bakery section in one of the reach-in cooler kind of things. They'll have the dough balls right there. A lot of times they'll have them frozen just so they don't perish. But you'll see them right in there. And I believe you have the option of a regular dough ball, which is with the white wheat or the traditional all-purpose wheat. And you'll find one now that even has the whole wheat. You'll find whole wheat dough balls in there too. So if you're looking to do something a little bit more healthy with your focaccia or making pizzas, you will find the whole wheat dough balls in there as well. All right. So thank you all for tuning in today. Thank you to Teen Warehouse for letting us use their beautiful space. Make sure to tune in to Little Chefs August 23rd, 3 p.m. and follow us on DETV. All right. Thank you guys. See you next time.
Thank you, Chef Dana.
Bye.